Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Anyways, so I decided to make another video today because, um, well, I was really inspired by something, and something that has recently happened in my life, and you know, I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. Not I'm not going to discuss like every detail here, but I just wanted to discuss about certain things. Okay, and so um, in this video we'll get into abusers and how they benefit from the unhealed, broken version of you. And so if you are, just consider this, okay, and keep this in mind because it's very important. If you're unhealed, if you're uh, still very much damaged in your ego, and if you don't know your worth, right? If you don't have that self-love, which is totally okay, which is a journey, right? It is totally okay if you're still there. Just don't stay there. You are able to heal. Healing is a process. It's sometimes maybe a lifelong journey even, but we don't have to stay where we're at, right? We're not trees. We can move. Um, or we can at least move quicker than trees because even trees move, right? We just don't see the movement, but so fast, right? But so my point is, right, is that if you are damaged, if you aren't healed, if you have childhood wounds, if you have trauma, if you've been in difficult relationships, then you do not have to stay where you're at. You don't have to stay hurt. You don't have to stay resentful, angry, and just you don't have to keep all of those negative emotions about your former situation, about your former partner, perhaps, because that's holding you back. That's still keeping energetic strings, and it's still keeping an emotional connection to your partner or to your ex, right? And or to your family even, right? So you have to forgive. You have to forgive, and in order to forgive, like I always say, you have to understand another human being, right? And once through understanding comes compassion and empathy, and that's how we can release, all of the bad emotions that we've potentially been holding on to, right? So that's part of the process. Of course, healing is so much more than that, right? And so, but in this video, I want to discuss, right, how abusers, they actually, they want you unhealed, and they want that past version of you. And in fact, they might even tell you that, just like someone just came into my life not that long ago, and he was like, he said to me, um, you know, oh, you're unhealed like me, and yada yada, right? And I was like, well, actually, no. I'm sorry that you're still unhealed, but no, I've actually, thank goodness, I've done the inner work, and it took me a long time, but I have healed, and so, but he kept on telling me that I wasn't, and then something clicked for me. Something clicked, and I realized that, abusers, people that want to stand to gain from you, want to gain from you, they're actually going to tell you that you're unhealed, because they're going to tell you that you haven't changed. And he told me this too. And I was like, well, excuse me, wait a minute, Uh, he also started acting like he knew me, right? Even though we've just met, so we've met, I knew the guy for, that was the guy from the hotel, right? And I knew the guy from, I don't know, just, we went out just once, with Kai, right? With my son and him, just to have lunch, right? And to the library. But here he was telling me he knew me, and he said he started telling me, people don't change, you know, and that yada yada, right? But it's not true. You see, once again, the people that stand to gain from you, and trust me, there's a lot to gain. If you're a good person, if you have a good heart, if you have a good energy, if you uplift others, uh, you know, even if you're damaged, right? Even if you have a lot of healing to do, people still can gain a lot from your energy, from being around you. You know, I know, you know, they say that unhealed people, you know, or hurt people hurt people. Yes, that might be true to an extent too, but people that are empathic, I believe, even if they're hurt, um, they're still going to try to help other people, you know. I remember I was like at my worst basically, right? And I was still trying to help people, you know. People were coming up to me. I even remember a situation in the gym. I was like at my worst basically. I was just not doing well. You know. And I remember a woman, she was in the gym and she came up to me and she just started crying, and she was like, can I just tell you something? And I was like, yeah, of course, you know. So little did she know that I was also going through like a ton of you know, difficulties at the moment, right? And I was not feeling good at all. But still, you know, I sat there, I listened to her, I gave her advice, and, you know, I made her feel better, and she walked away with a smile on her face, you know. So what I mean is that if you're a good person, if you're a God's child, right, you're even the unhealed version of you is going to help others, okay? And your energy is still going to be pretty good even if you are not healed. So there's still a lot to gain from your energy. There's a lot to gain from you and being around you, right? And so abusers know that, okay? And so once again, they stand, uh, they, you know, they're going to try to make you feel as if you're not healed, as if you haven't changed, as if people don't change, because they want to benefit from you believing that, you know. But those are lies. If you've healed, you've healed, you know. If you know, you know, right? So uh, you know, so don't let anyone tell you that you haven't healed, or don't let anyone pull you back into the past, right? Trying to remind you of this and that scenario and this situation. And you know, the past is in the past, right? The past can stay in the past. It doesn't have to come to you into the future, right? Into the now. Especially if something happened a long time ago, and if you've truly gotten a chance to process everything and move on, right? And become a completely different version of you. Of course, having said that, of course, that's not easy, right? Becoming a different version of you means that you have to have clear boundaries, right? Because people can benefit from you not having any boundaries, right? Why? Because if you don't have clear boundaries, then they can come into your life, they can take whatever they want, right? Or they can treat you however they want to, like this guy tried to do, right? Now, he basically went on to like insult me about something that I was really vulnerable with him. I tried to open up to him, right? Because I just wanted to share, right? I thought maybe he would understand me, and but instead the guy lashed out. He criticized me. He called me bad names, you know. And then after that, of course, he never heard from me again, right? And he was expecting for me to take the crumbs, right, that he threw at me, and to move into the hotel, right, in hopes of still having access to my energy, right? But you know what? I know you're watching. Hell no. Okay, go find someone else. That's your answer. I know you're watching, and please stop messaging me because you keep on trying to, you know, email me now. You keep on trying to, you found me on LinkedIn, you know, and you're messaging me there. I saw your messages. I just don't want to answer because I am not interested. Okay, so, you know, move on. You know, so, but anyway, so, you know, um, it's just, he doesn't know that I pay attention to details, especially now, right? So the old version of me wouldn't have done that. The old version of me would have settled for crumbs. The old version of me would have moved into the hotel, and then there, you know, I would have had to walk on eggshells while he would have had the upper hand and perceived control over me and my son, right? And so this old version, this new version of me believes in herself and her own abilities. This new version of me doesn't stand for bad treatment, right? So this new version of me is my own best friend, right? So you guys, you have to, develop strong boundaries so other people don't try to use you and abuse you and try to gain somehow without reciprocation, right? That's one thing, right? Another is I'm no longer going to be agreeable and silent, right? Just to keep the peace in the relationship, right? So I'm going to state my needs and my desires, and if you're not okay with that, then you can leave, right? That's also the new version of you. You should be able to speak clearly and state your needs, right? Because it takes two to have a relationship, and any person that is healthy, that respects you, they're going to give back to you and try to fulfill your needs too, right? So it takes two, and both people should understand that one or the other one will have needs and expectations in a relationship, and that's completely normal, right? So they're not going to get offended by your boundaries or your needs, and they're not going to in fact, if you stay silent, they're going to be like wondering what's going on, right? Are you not, because people also pick up on when you're not speaking your needs, they pick up on that. And so yeah, this new version of you will speak out and speak up, and it's not going to be afraid to lose a relationship or someone else, um, because if someone doesn't understand your needs, or want to meet them, or doesn't want to meet you halfway, then they can say bye, then they're not the person for you, right? So there's that, right? Yeah, and also, of course, this version of you is not going to tolerate mistreatment. You know your worth, you know your energy, your energy is the bomb diggity, right? It's the bomb. So, like, if someone doesn't come right, right, as they say, if someone doesn't come right, uh, then they can go left, right? So that's, yeah. Um, it's it is what it is, right? So if someone doesn't treat you well, especially from the start, right? And if they think they can mistreat you, abuse you, then they're completely mistaken, right? And so you're not going to stay just because you want a person in your life, and you really really want one, right? You want one so bad that you're willing to settle and accept mistreatment and crumbs, right? Breadcrumbs that they throw your way. Of course not. Of course you're not gonna be settling for this. You outgrew this unconfident, you outgrew this person that you used to be, that lacked confidence, that was insecure, and that was willing to take breadcrumbs. You want the whole cake now, or you don't want it at all, right? That's just the way it is, right? So the healed version of you is going to be exactly that. They're going to demand respect, and if there's no respect, if there are breadcrumbs, then they can stay with their breadcrumbs. So you are okay with being alone, you're okay with being on your own, and in fact you're great. You have found that balance and that wholeness from within you, right? That combination of masculine and feminine. So you don't you feel whole, you called your soul back. The pieces of your soul have been called back, and you have your soul. And when we have our soul, guys, when we're healed, which is what happens when we heal too, right? Is you're calling your soul back, the pieces, the fragments of your soul that you've left everywhere, right? In the things that never served you. I mean, they have served you technically, but not in the it was a harsh lesson, basically. Okay, so you know, so now you have that, you have your soul, you know it, you know it, you know your worth, you know that, you know, not everyone gets access to your energy now. And those that don't step it up, those that come uh, being disrespectful, those that you know, come acting like, you know, they're gonna just come and go, right? Or really, you know, any other way that's kind of similar, right, to this, then you're just not gonna, you're not gonna put up with this, and you're not gonna engage. You're not even going to, you know, you're not even going to pay attention, okay? Because once again, your attention, right, where you place your attention to, your energy goes there, right? So you're not going to be giving that your energy, because your energy is pure. It's great. It's amazing. It's healed. So yeah, you know. So only those that are on the same level will be getting your attention in your or only those that respect you, that come in being respectful, being, you know, wanting to reciprocate, are, you know, those are the ones that are going to be getting your attention, right? And so the old version of you, you know, once again, it would have been very different. Um, Once again, you're not going to be overgiving in hopes of getting approval or in hopes of keeping a relationship. You're no longer an overgiver, and you give when it's deserved. You give from the heart when you're called to give by God, right? By the Most High. You're called to give. You give when you feel like you should, right? Or you want to, truly want to from your heart. But you don't give just to gain approval, or to be liked, right? Or yeah, and you know, and you're not going to do anyone's emotional labor either, right? And so once again, you have developed boundaries there too. And so yeah, people that don't respect that, and people that just want to take, you know, then they're not going to be in your life for too long or at all, right? So anyway, so yeah, guys, so once again, just remember that abusers, they stand to gain from the unhealed version of you, okay? So ladies or gentlemen, if you're still healing, don't tell people this. Don't tell that I'm still healing. Don't say that, because once again, it signals to a potential predator, you know, or people that just want to use, or potential users, right? That, you know, there's still an opening to get in, right? And so don't tell anyone about your healing journey unless you really can. You feel like you can open up to another person. You know, just do it quietly, and keep in mind that if you are unhealed, there's still kind of an opening for abusers to get in and to you know, to use and abuse you until you have actually until you realize your worth, and until you start loving yourself, and until you develop that beautiful relationship with yourself. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. I have to go teach. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more videos.